we didn't need police. Before the settlers came, we didn't need prisons. All of a sudden, the settlers come, they turn our castles into prisons. So you know who they was designed for. The tracing back the police charters, the police get their charter from the Crown of England, not from anybody that is a sovereign body over here on this shore. This is a problem because the uniform gives the appearance of legitimacy. They are enforcers of the policies drawn up by a military peacekeeping force. That's what they call them when they occupy territory. Mm-hmm. We have been continuously occupied at least minimum since 1776. Mm-hmm. The corporation known as the United States of America is not our government. It's never been our government, and it never had any intentions of perform any of the functions of government on behalf of the people on the land. So why are they here? Well, we know that when the police was first established, they were established as the policing slave patrols. Police is short for policy, right? So we look at the verb, noun, adjective juggle of the secret society called the Blue Wall. Mm-hmm. The policies that they are operating under is based on the charter. The charter comes from the Queen of England, but it receives its duty or its enforcement through the Vatican. And we don't know this, so we become subject to their jurisdictional override of the people of the land. So the reason why we begin to listen to them and obey them is because they gave us a uniform system that looks legitimate to the people who don't know what they are, where they came from, and why they're here. So the only way to get rid of them is to go back to the tribal structure and go back to something called the Sharif. The Sharif became amalgamated. It was an Arab term, but it was the term that the foreigners gave to the lawmen from the land. Any other tribal lawman is classified as Sharif, right? So the lawman for the Americas is Chief Malik Angel Bey. And the El Rookin Nation is supposed to be the ones tearing this motherfucker up, getting rid of imposters, excuse the language. But when they realized that they had to get rid of the leadership under the COINTELPRO operations, they knew he had to be removed because he was jurisdictionally authorized by blood and by right to start to reestablish the jurisdictional authority of the tribes. The spokesperson, what we call the chairman of the board, which is the round table of chiefs, is Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover didn't want the position no more than I want to be on social media. But the clans picked him as the spokesman. He can't run from that responsibility. So he becomes the chairman of the board, the one responsible to deliver the report to the people of the land as to what's going on the land and where's our shit and why we don't got it. Right? So being that I'm from under the Growth and Development Nation, and my instructions from Larry was brain banging and not gang banging. Right? And he told me that the only way out is a peaceful resolution for all tribes involved. So any tribe on the land that wish to be restored back to their prior to 1492 jurisdictional position on the land, right? We have to speak up for them, even if they speak against us. Mm-hmm. Because we have to do what's right for all of the clans, not just some of them. Mm-hmm. So the police is a foreign agent enforcement for a police state. America has been in a continuous police state ever since the American Revolution. And the Civil War, the North versus the South, was the extension of the Gullah Wars. And a lot of the tribes don't know that all of the tribes was called to Florida to fight a war 500 years ago. Because how the settlers took the narrative and took control of the indoctrination of our children with false narratives, they said the Seminole Wars was a bunch of natives and runaway slaves, which we was not slaves. We was military contingents coming from other parts of the land. And they installed a legal fiction to appear to be legitimate, and that's part of the uniform on the Uniform Commercial Code in the Admiralty jurisdiction of law. We need to be divorced from Admiralty and maritime law and restored back to the great law, which is the law of the land, the law of the clans, the law of the people. Right? So when you see in the preamble where it says we the people, that was Nishnab. All of the clans refer to us as we the people. Right? But they all saying it in the tongue of the tribe that's speaking it. The common denominator is the English translation of we the people, which is our sovereign right to alter any political structure on the land that's belligerent to the clans. This U.S. corporation has been perpetually and continuously belligerent to the clans, giving us names such as gangs, names such as outlaws, names such as belligerent clans, belligerent tribes. When you hear them call us belligerent, that means that our system and their system clash. They don't go together. So what do? They remove the leadership as it develops to prevent true leadership from ever getting to the ears of the people in our communities. So they use their police to do legal homicide of the people of the land. This is a part of the war resolution. The same system that played out in the Middle East during the Gulf War is the same manner in which the United States set up the corporation to take control of the land. Remember, back then, the chiefs led the tribes into war, so a lot of the chiefs lost their life. We didn't care about that because we coming back one way or another in this life or the next to restore balance back to the people and back to the land. So we have to speak up for the tribes that really don't know what's going on because they haven't studied to show themselves approved yet. They leaders. And then some of the leaders has become so saturated with the dogma of the political genre that they become active only on behalf of the system and forget about their obligations and duties that they've been fighting for generations on behalf of the tribes and the people. So when you go to the police and you're dealing with them, they don't care if you're right. They only there to enforce the policy. Their policies is gave to us as codes, United States Code, Uniform Commercial Code. So when they enforcing them, they not enforcing the policy, they enforcing a code. It's a war code. All of the war edicts is written in codes, which comes out as indefinite definitive statements that they call key in law, right? It's a West key in law. In each one of the declarations of the court be supposed to be put in the public domain. All trials are supposed to be public. They tell you they public, but they restrict who can come in and who can't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They tell you you can't broadcast the trial, but then you see broadcast news broadcast the trial at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
So this is saying that they control how public our public trials is. Our struggles with the courts is jurisdictional defective as a de facto rogue government masquerading as our legal government. And this is putting all of the people of the land in a catch-22 scenario where no matter which way you turn, you're going to lose because they're not going to honor it if you're right. But if you're wrong, they're going to enforce it to the fullest extent of the law. And this is why so many innocent people end up stuck in the system. It's probably for every person that committed the crime, it's probably 2 or 3 that didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Then when they came with this term guilt by association, now they're able to lock up people that said hello to you before the crime. Right? And so these are all of their policies. The procedure is how to enforce the policy. So this is why they got court procedures, civil court procedures. You got the attorneys follow the Bar Association procedures to practice law, and they got a list of things that they got to follow that takes their ability to be impartial to their client away from them. Mm-hmm. Their first fiduciary duty as a bar member is to uphold the integrity of the bar according to the bar manual.
Correct.
So if their first fiduciary duty is to uphold the integrity of the bar, how can they make any allegiance to protect the interests of the client when both the prosecutor and the attorney are bar members? Mm-hmm. The judge is also a bar member.
That's right. That's right. Correct. Yeah.
So now they take their 2-ball cane and flip you into a 4-corner shuffle and you don't even know what's going on.
Yep.
When they flip you into the 4-corner shuffle, this is when the state declare you an imbecile in law and assume the position as your parent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is why they put you in timeout and call it a prison sentence. Because they're your parent now, because you were imbecile in law. They knew you was an imbecile in law when you didn't know the proper process for challenging jurisdiction and determining if the proper jurisdiction is being upheld. Michigan, where I'm at, it's easy to see that the people who established the state as a government and the people who was masquerading as the government aren't the same. Rod, what you talking about? In the Michigan Constitution, it gives you something called proper style and title for we the people of the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If it's not written like that on the legal document, it's not that person. It's somebody else. So when you get your warrant, when you get your responses from the court, it's all in block letters. It's not in proper style and title. Right? This shows you that there's something else going on, but first we don't know what it is, but we know that this ain't the people because it tells you in the Constitution that the people of the state of Michigan shall be written in this style and title and this style and title alone. That means you can't variate or deviate from how it's written as we the people of the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. When you start understanding what style and title is, then you understand why they have blocks and borders on legal documents. Because the blocks and border are the canals and the navigational network that they park in the boat that's supposed to be you. And the manifest and the invoice is what we call your case log. None of this stuff has anything to do with us, but explaining it to people where they know what's going on helps them to understand how to get back to the great law. And the great law is founded on the first principle. And my literature teach me that the first principle is love, universal love. Universal love means you give love freely. That don't mean you got to be nobody's sucker either. Just because you love somebody don't mean you don't have to go upside their head.
That's right.
right? Because you know, Big Mama slap you down if you come in a house with the wrong language. I don't care if you're 12 or 22.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? That's been in our culture from time immemorial. We speak with a certain respect around the elders because words can kill, build, and destroy.
That's right.
So where we at right now is we need to understand what's bringing these ancient tribes back to reemerge in this modern time. The Bloods and Crips was specifically spawned to fight the police. They're not here to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
They here specifically as the result of police shooting brothers in the back. Police killing us with the chokehold. The people in California know what I'm talking about, but the people that's not from California need to go back to the history. When the Bloods and Crips emerged, they emerged out of a ruthless and remorseless police abuse of jurisdictional authority. So the tribe's natural instinct is to click up what they call tribe up to fight the enemy. The police knew that was going to happen. So under COINTELPRO, they recruited certain individuals to masquerade as the red and the blue to make them fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
This came to the surface during the riots about the Rodney King case, where the police or the sheriff department was whooping Rodney King, and as a result, it ended up sending LA and much of the West Coast up in flames. When you see that, that's the tribes telling you something is wrong on the land. Is there any chief on the land that knows how to remedy this problem so that the tribes can live back in harmony and peace, one with the land, one with the people, following the great law? It's a process. It doesn't happen in 30 days or 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'll be frustrated because I want it to be over. But I know we following all of the steps. It doesn't happen as fast as we want it to. It doesn't make the big explosion of awareness in the community as it should. But we still have to continue to follow the steps, and it's gonna eventually wake up all of the tribes. And then the ones that was once belligerent to us that thought we was trying to deprive them or usurp them, realize that no, we the ones who came to get all that shit you was fighting for. We not here to take nothing from nobody who has a rightful inheritance. What we here to do is bring the balance back to the land and to the people. And so we talked about last night that in a personal call about the National Guard replacing the police. This is a necessity because if you just take the police based on our social conditioning, the people are panicked.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to know that during this transitional phase where the matriarchy is returning back to the land, that we have a system in place using the National Guard to make sure that while the matriarchs is returning to power, we can still uphold some kind of order on the land. But once they start catching on to the rise of the matriarch, you're gonna need less and less law enforcement, and you're gonna need more and more doulas. Because people gonna be making babies again like we used to. Because we gonna all be so much in love like we used to. We love each other different than the people that came. That's how they exposed themselves. Right? Mm-hmm. We love without, I'm not just loving you because you took this piece of paper and said we married. No, it don't work like that. We had marriage long before marriage license. What happened? All this is byproducts of a judiciary controlling every aspect of our lives and preventing us from following our own culture and imposing a foreign culture for a drawn out period of time so that we will forget our culture and assume the culture of the invaders. But John Henry Clark flat out told us this is a war on our culture. This is not a war on us, it's a war on our culture. But don't nobody know, why would you war against somebody's culture?
Correct.
The culture is what is the binding link or the bridge throughout all of your history. It's the things that you naturally do in the community that you're not even trying to do. This is the way we is. That when Big Mama cooking and the boy out there with his obviously impoverished friend who needs to eat, Big Mama say what? Bring him in and get that boy a plate. I done seen it everywhere I've been. Mississippi, New York, Chicago, LA. The Big Mamas is still doing Big Mama stuff, but it's being frowned upon through social conditioning to prevent them from doing it. And they using the dirt they doing to disgrace Big Mama as if she got some hand in it when she don't. So all of the dirt that they doing the dirt, and they only going to expose it in a manner that's going to always make it look like the Big Mamas haven't been still taking care of their grandkids when their daughters get strung out on crack, when their sons get murdered in the street.